Hour one of the Cash-In, Sports Map Radio, the Sports Map Radio app. And look, I mean, there's no getting around this. The Dolphins are going to be under all sorts of scrutiny in the moments after this game and for who knows how long, because the way this played out tonight. Now, look, I mean, I know the league's already kind of investigated or is investigating the play last week on Sunday where Tua went down hard, came out of the game, was put back into the game. He claims it was a back injury. It wasn't a head injury. But anybody who watched the way he was thrown down last week would have a difficult time buying the idea that this wasn't a head injury he suffered. And then compound that with what took place tonight, where he gets thrown down hard and his neck turns and his head hits the turf in Cincinnati. And I am not going to be able to shake the image of his fingers basically clawed up and locked up in this position that is emblematic of head trauma. And good job by the guys on Thursday Night Football to say, look, you know, this is what medical experts will tell you, is when the fingers curl up like this, it means that somebody, it's a defense mechanism basically to head trauma. He was carted off the field. He didn't even put his hand up. And a lot of times the guys will give a thumbs up as they're coming off the field, something to encourage their family that might be watching, their friends that might be watching. And you didn't get any of that, which I think was even more alarming. But then you do get word at halftime that Tua has feelings in all of his extremities. And that is about the only piece of good news that comes out of this injury. And there'll be plenty of time to analyze it. And I'm sure in the course of 3 hours, we will analyze it. What this all means from a football perspective for the Miami Dolphins. I can't even go there right now. Not this second. Because the real concern is how NFL teams continue to handle injured athletes. We've seen lawsuits. We've seen all sorts of documentaries, exposés, for crying out loud. When is it going to stop? When are teams going to protect their players? These guys are not superhuman. Something has to change. And I don't know when and where and what the impetus will be for it. Maybe that's what comes out of this. I don't know. But I think about it with Justin Herbert, who suffers the rib injury against the Chiefs. Chiefs just keep him out there. Then he plays the following week. Then he's on the field in a 38-10 blowout. Maybe not such a good idea, Brendan Staley said. And then we see this injury to Tua on Sunday. He's back out on the field. Hey, the Dolphins won the game. Everything worked out fine until he takes another shot to his head. And the guy turned into a vegetable on the football field in front of 10 million people on Prime Video. Where does it stop? When does this league start to hold teams accountable? There's got to be some accountability here. Well, he passed all the concussion protocols. Did you do them correctly? Did you just gloss it over? Yeah, it almost reminds me of, you ever seen Any Given Sunday? With Jamie Foxx and Lawrence Taylor and Jim Brown and Al Pacino, Cameron Diaz. And you have the athletic trainer that's just shooting guys up so they can get out on the field. And his assistant trainer comes in and says, no, you can't keep giving him this. You can't put him on the field. He'll wind up paralyzed if he gets hit the wrong way. He's a gamer. He's a warrior. Let him go out there. You're going to take that away from him? Tua Tagovailoa is too young to be a walking vegetable. And when you suffer what appeared to be a concussion on Sunday, followed up by another one 5 days later, that's exactly where this is going. And I'm sorry, I can't sit here and pretend there's a football game going on, and just because I host a sports talk show, I got to talk about it. You can't gloss it over. You can't pretend there isn't real life consequences to what you see in a situation like this. And it goes from ownership all the way down to the head coach, and yes, even the players. Because Tua also knows damn well what happened to him on Sunday. And he could say all he wants, it was a back injury, and I'm sure there are people that are going to claim that was the case until the cows come riding home. Not to mention the fact that from a football perspective, that injury occurred because he held on to the football too long, which was also what made it so upsetting because it was avoidable. He's running around in the backfield. Obviously, the coverage was pretty good. He couldn't find any open receivers. Throw the football away. And as a result now, who knows what kind of injury we're talking about to Tua Tagovailoa. Now, there'll be time to talk about the football side of it, and we will, because Teddy Bridgewater is in the game for the 3-0 Miami Dolphins in a competitive game. And he's going to give them a shot to win. Teddy Bridgewater is going to give you a shot to win every week out there. He's proven he can win in this league. But I wouldn't be shocked. And look, maybe the news they got at halftime about Tua having feelings in his extremities will help this team focus a little more, because it looked like after that serious injury that Tua suffered, it looked like the team had no idea how to react. Moments later, you get a touchdown pass from Joe Burrow, I think to T. Higgins. And then the Dolphins respond with a touchdown drive of their own before the half. So we're at 14-12 right now, 8:49 to go in the third quarter on Prime Video. And again, we will keep you up to date on it. I'm going to try my best to sort of focus on everything else we have to talk about tonight. We always like to go through the live betting throughout the second half, and because this game had such a lengthy delay because of the Tua injury, and rightly so, they had to be careful. They put him on the headboard. They didn't even take his helmet off, had his hands folded. Because of that, this game is running a little later than normal. So we'll do the live betting like we always do on the show, keeping in mind it just doesn't feel the same on a night like this when you see that kind of injury. Right now at 14-12, 8:19 to go, third quarter, the live betting is Miami plus 240 and the Bengals minus 390, or actually now it's plus 280 to the Dolphins, minus 390 to Cincinnati, who has the football 1st and 10 on their own 35. And if you're looking at the line, it's plus 5.5 to the Dolphins, and the total is 43.5. In this hour, we'll continue to monitor the game. As I said, we like to do that on Thursday nights, do some live betting with you guys, tell you what we're thinking. Some more streaming issues for Prime Video on this game tonight. I mean, look, the reality is this is something that's always going to be an issue when you talk about something that is exclusively streaming. You're at the mercy of the internet. You're at the mercy of technology as opposed to reliable old cable. I tell you, I got a funny story about cable that I'll get to in a couple of minutes. College football, Bill Bender does a great job on it nationally for the Sporting News. Just before we came on tonight, I had a chance to catch up with him and talk about college football. We actually talked about Tua Tagovailoa as well in that conversation. You'll hear that coming up about 20 minutes from now, some thoughts with him on this college football season. Big one this weekend. Arkansas entertaining Alabama. Couple of injuries for the Crimson Tide. Could it play a role in an Arkansas upset? I'll ask him to make the case. And we'll keep tabs, as I said. Stay with us. You could also be a part of the show. We encourage it. 800-224-2004. 800-224-2004. On Twitter, at the back page. What do you make of the Tua injury? Are the Dolphins going to be responsible for what's happened to Tua Tagovailoa? Will we ever get to the truth about what happened to him on Sunday? 800-224-2004. 800-224-2004. Some truths you just can't escape. Football's a very dangerous game, no matter what they do. It's always going to be. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In. It's Sports Map Radio. Thank you. Yes. That and the 2 interviews, we should be good. I got 2 pre-tapes on this end, and I already tested to make sure they would play when I hit the button. Just us for the time being. Vlad has got something going on. Yeah, it's fine with me too. Between you and I, thankful you have decided to hang out with us on the show tonight. 1-800-224-2004. 1-800-224-2004 on Twitter. You can hit me up there at the back page. And again, I mean, we like to go through the live betting and talk about all that as we watch the game, but it's very upsetting. And it's very difficult to sort of focus on it. And it'll get easier as the show goes on, but You cannot have a heart, or you can't have a conscience and just simply move on to just talking about sports like nothing happened. And I mentioned it at the end of the last segment, and I'll get into a little bit more here for just a couple of minutes. I'm not going to belabor the Tua injury for the next 3 hours. As we get more information, though, we will provide it. It is the reminder, they do all these things. Well, concussions were down during the preseason and throughout training camp with these weird beehive helmet padding things that they had on. So that's great. That's a great thing. That's a positive. Of course, they weren't really comparing it to anything because it's the first year they've worn those cone type of helmets. Not to mention the fact nobody played in the preseason. I mean, it was a bunch of guys that are working at the D'Agostino now. So it's not the same game. So to compare it and to try and make it simply sound like, oh yeah, this was football, and look at the results. We're making the game safer. It's all a mirage. It's all a mirage. The proof is in the pudding when it comes to the safety of the game. And I'm not just talking about concussions. I'm just talking about safety in general. The reality is, it's not a safe game to play. And look, I'll take a hit. 7 years ago, when I was doing my national show with NBC, and there was all this talk about football needs to be eliminated, and it's time to get rid of football from high schools and all these different things, and kids shouldn't be playing it, the dangers involved, and so on. As much as we talked about that 7 years ago, I said, in my lifetime, there may come a time where there isn't professional football the way we know it because of the safety risks involved. I no longer feel that way because this game just seems to be bulletproof from anything. This game seems to, no matter what happens, on the field, off the field, sexual assault, sexual harassment, the ugliness that we saw in the John Gruden emails, doesn't matter. This league is bulletproof. And this gets into a societal conversation that I don't really want to get into, but for a moment I will, because I'm already down that road. The train's already kind of left the station. But it's as much of an indictment on our society as it is anything else. Imagine if you were Tua's family. And don't give me this crap, oh, he makes so much money. Imagine if you were the family of Tua Tagovailoa, a loved one of Tua, and you're watching that play as it takes place. You think you care about the money? You think you care about if he wins or loses? If the Dolphins go to 4-0 or 3-1? If they make the playoffs, if they win the AFC East, if they go to the Super Bowl, if they win a playoff game, whatever. All they want is for their kid to come home safe. And he is just a kid. Talking about somebody in their early 20s who's already had a number of serious injuries, who came into this game on the injury report. It's just another one of those moments that is so important in reminding us of the realities of this game, that no matter what you try to do, no matter how much, if you blow on the quarterback and he falls over and a flag is thrown, no matter how much you try to make this game safe, you cannot do it. There isn't enough you can do without completely changing it. The Dolphins have kicked a field goal. They lead the Bengals 15-14. 2:43 to go in the third quarter. The money line now at plus 114 in the Dolphins side. The Bengals at minus 146. The Bengals still a 2.5-point favorite despite the fact that they trail 15-14. And really, outside of the opening drive and a busted coverage late in the first half, the Bengals haven't gotten much going. It's not like you can't score against this Dolphins team. They made a good stop on fourth down, either late first quarter or early second quarter of this game. The Bengals' offensive woes continue, and this team is too good to struggle the way it has offensively through the first 3 or 4 games of the season. And look, the Dolphins weren't playing the greatest offensive game before Tua got hurt either. Again, I cringe having to talk about football and just ignoring the guy that's sitting in a hospital who's probably in some MRI or CAT scan tube right now getting his head checked out. But there is a reality to what we saw in this game. And look, some of it may very well have been the short week. The fact that Tua was banged up. There were some throws in this game that were not encouraging before he suffered the head injury, the head and neck injury. It's going to be a lot of questions after this game. Some uncomfortable questions for Mike McDaniel. The training staff, the medical staff around this Dolphins team. All of that will kind of get its play in fair time. But the Dolphins on top of the Bengals right now, 15-14 as they play. Late stages of the third quarter on Prime Video, as I said. We will keep an eye on it. College football should be interesting this weekend. And we'll get into it coming up in a few minutes with Bill Bender of the Sporting News, who does a great job on all things college football. Talked to him just before we came on the air tonight and got some thoughts with him on some of the big stories surrounding college football for this weekend. And of course, near the top of the list, if not at the top of the list, is this showdown between Arkansas and Alabama. And I think the best thing that could have happened, if you look at Alabama since that week 1 win, or that first big game they had anyway, on the road in Texas, they didn't play well. They had 100 yards in penalties. Texas had an opportunity late to try and steal that game. That was the best thing that could have happened to Alabama. That is everything that a coach like Nick Saban wants. Your team wins, tough road environment, hot as hell on the field, but you have teachable moments for everybody on that roster. Bryce Young right down to the last guy on the roster. You've got teachable moments. And they've rolled since then. Is this the week they stumble? I don't think so. On the road in Arkansas, but they are down a couple of key defensive players. And Arkansas will be able to attack that, but can the Razorbacks stop this Crimson Tide offense? That remains to be seen. I bet if I asked you this question, if you didn't look at a headline somewhere, you would not know the answer. Matter of fact, bring on Brian, who's producing the show out of Houston. Our producer in Houston is Brian McDonald tonight. Brian, I'm just going to throw a number out at you. I'm going to throw a question out at you. Okay? What is of the college football, FBS, how many teams do you think are unbeaten in college football, in FBS college football right now? All of FBS. Wow. That's better than I thought. 18. 18. That's a really good guess. We'll ask Bill Bender which one is the most surprising of them all as we continue on the Cash In on Sports Map Radio. I'm Jason Page. Stay with us. Wow. Did you know that? That's a great number. That feels like a lot, though. a good job by you. Yeah, I will take it out of the backside. Yeah. We continue to keep tabs on Thursday Night Football. We'll do that throughout the show. We got your live lines and all that good stuff, and we'll see how we do on the game as it continues to progress. Take some time out. We haven't done a lot of college football, I have to be honest, and I'll blame myself for that. We continue to... All right. We continue. We continue to keep tabs on Thursday Night Football. We'll do that throughout the show. We got your live lines and all that good stuff, and we'll see how we do on the game as it continues to progress. We continue to keep tabs on Thursday Night Football. We'll do that throughout the show. We got your live lines and all that good stuff, and we'll see how we do on the game as it continues to progress. Take some time out. We haven't done a lot of college football, I have to be honest, and I'll blame myself for that. We've been busy with a lot of NFL and obviously the Aaron Judge home run chase, but we haven't done a ton of college football yet. Don't worry, there's plenty of season left and plenty of time to get into it. Let's do some of it tonight with Bill Bender, Sporting News, talking some college football with him. Bill, welcome to the show. Can you make a case for 20th ranked Arkansas this weekend at home against the top ranked Crimson Tide?
I can, but it would be weak because I don't know that they have the pass defense to do it. I know they've got some talented running backs, quarterbacks, and they were able to go shot for shot with the Crimson Tide last year. I'm just worried about that pass defense against Tua. So I'm watching Tua right now. I'm sorry. Bryce Young. Can I get those two mixed up? That's my one mistake. Against those receivers, Bryce Young, Trayshawn Holden, Corey Stevens, those guys have definitely got going, and I think Alabama, that pass offense, it's maybe against my better judgment. I think Alabama's due for one of those statement road victories that says, hey, Georgia, hey, Ohio State, think about this. And that's where I'm at on that game.
Was the game against Texas early on in the year, was that almost a good thing? Was that game almost, it was close, it was a win, still a teachable moment for Nick Saban, get his team's attention. Was that almost the perfect scenario that early in the season to have a game like that?
The Texas heat and the 100 yards of penalties and the mistakes that they made left and right and were able to still survive with a win. So, yeah, all teachable things because there's a level he's trying to get them at. And I joked about Georgia and Ohio State, but those are the teams that they have to worry about. So I think that's where we're at in terms of that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, and that's why I think you're going to see a more focused, less mistake-prone Alabama team when they go on the road this weekend.
Do the Byron Young and Jordan Battle injuries, does it help? I mean, I know Nick Saban says he's hoping they're going to be, ready to go for this game. I mean, is that something that Arkansas can attack?
Oh yeah. I mean, Arkansas still got a very capable offense. They'll be at home. KJ Jefferson threw the ball well against Alabama last year. That's something that stood out. Raheem Sanders is one of the nation's most. I didn't know till today. They call him Rocket Sanders. I thought that was reserved for the Notre Dame receiver back in the day. But yeah, they've got some weapons that will allow them to hang around in that game if they can't. But I just worry about that pass defense against a very explosive Alabama offense that also can run the football.
Yeah, you mentioned Tua accidentally before. And as somebody that watched it, well, no, it's interesting because as somebody that watched him on the collegiate level the way you did, are you surprised by the leap he's taken in year 3? I know he started to show some signs end of year 2, but are you surprised at the leap he's made in year 3 based on what you saw at him at the collegiate level?
No, because I think with him, you surround him with some good receivers, and he's going to be all right. I mean, when I watched him in college, the 1 year before he got hurt, it was greatest show on turf material with all those first-round receivers. And one of the things that stuck out, we wrote about it at Sporting News this week. When LSU played Alabama in 2019 and Burrow and Tagovailoa were on the field, there were 55 NFL players in that game. 55! Like, think about the ridiculousness of that statement. So you get him a Jalen Waddle, and you get him a Tyreek Hill and Raheem Mostert and some fast guys in that offense, and it doesn't surprise me that they're doing well.
Spending a few minutes with Bill Bender, Sporting News, does a good job on college football, joins us here on the show tonight. We've seen a few coaches already get the axe this year, and some notable names at some notable universities. Are you surprised that we've seen this many early coaching firings, and do you think there are more to come?
Well, I wrote about that today, is that, yes, there will be more to come. And, yes, the hiring cycle has changed. When you saw 5 Power 5 conference coaches, Power 5 coaches that were fired by Halloween last year, almost like getting a head start on the following year. I mean, that allowed USC to get Lincoln Riley in some ways, allowed LSU to get Brian Kelly. So for Nebraska, it allows them to plan ahead. It allows Georgia Tech and Arizona State to plan ahead. Auburn obviously comes into focus next because Brian Harsin was nearly fired last week. And that job of the 4, if Auburn pops open, will probably the largest names, the Urban Meyers, the Deion Sanders, and we'll start speculating on that kind of stuff.
Urban Meyer. Oh, God.
You were waiting for him to get back in college, right? So I'm just saying that's the job that will attract the rock star names, because Auburn in my lifetime, they've won a national title in 10. They've played for one in 14. They're in that conference. It is what it is, as I tell people. And, even Deion, I mean, if he entertains one of those jobs, it would be something on that stage.
Yeah. You just soured my mood with Urban Meyer talk, though. I mean, my God. I mean, talk about a guy that, let's just move on from him already. Isn't there enough good candidates out there, enough good coaching candidates out there, young guys? I don't need to see Urban Meyer again, especially after the mess he left in Jacksonville. And he looks worse with every game that team plays in Jacksonville right now, because you see how much better they are without him.
It's, and Doug Peterson helps too. I mean, that's a night and day difference with Jacksonville and the NFL, and starting to see the best out of Trevor Lawrence. I mean, for those that are watching that game this weekend, I mean, I would lie if I told you before the season started, hey, when week 4 rolls around, you're going to want to be in front of the TV for Jacksonville, Philly. But you are. It's going to be an exciting game between Trevor and Jalen. And, I'm trying to think. I don't think they saw each other against each other in the college game, but I think they missed each other by a year.
What's the most surprising? This isn't an easy question, but what to you is the most surprising of the 18 unbeatens right now in FBS?
Minnesota's a good story with what they're doing. They get off the field on third down. The way that they beat Michigan State last week. Best third down offense, best third down defense. PJ's got an experienced 60-year quarterback in Tanner Morgan. They got Muhammad Ibrahim back from a ruptured Achilles, and he hasn't missed a beat at running back. I mean, that's a really good football team, and they've got a chance in that Big Ten West to make some noise. So I think they've been a good surprise. I mean, Kansas is the easiest answer, right? Because they're 4-0 and selling out their stadium and playing with an unbelievable offense. But the catch-22 there is the more they win, the more some of those programs that have an opening are going to be asking about Lance Leopold.
I'm just thinking, I'm literally just sitting here hearkening back and thinking about the days of Charlie Weiss at Kansas. And now looking at where that program is.
Well, I mean, I was telling my editor, it's not like they can't win. I did watch Kansas play and win an Orange Bowl with Mark Mangino and Todd Reesing. I watched a huge game between Missouri and Kansas. Now, granted, that was all the way back in 2007, but they're certainly a good story as well. I think James Madison, doing what they're doing in their first year in the FBS is really good to see. They've got a quarterback, Todd Centillo, hasn't thrown a pick yet. I think 13 touchdown passes, no interceptions. So the Dukes have been a good story as well.
Michigan's getting crushed in the press for their non-conference schedule, and justifiably so. I mean, I'm from Connecticut, but my God, I mean, the University of Connecticut should be an FCS program at this point, as bad as that thing is. How much is it going to hold them back once we get to the college football playoff rankings?
I don't think much at all, honestly. I think now that they're in the Big Ten schedule, it was almost like a preseason for them, and I do think there's some moving the goalposts with Michigan. Yes, their non-league schedule was bad, but part of that was UCLA canceled. Nobody brings that part up. And then the other part is everybody was talking about the quarterbacks. Well, the weak non-league schedule allowed them to get J.J. McCarthy in there, who is the better option for them in terms of giving them a chance later on against Ohio State. Now, they have a tough road game this weekend. They've just historically had awful games at Iowa. And I think that's one of those things to watch. So I do think the Wolverines will win. A 10.5 looks a little high against a pretty good Iowa defense, but this is where we're going to find out. And I think the more they win in Big Ten play, the less we're going to care about that. It was bad, though. You are right. UConn, Hawaii, and Colorado State is not exactly the meatiest of non-conference schedules.
Bonus points to Bill Bender for referencing the line in that Michigan game, by the way. Air Force got whacked by the NCAA for recruiting violations. I think it was today they got whacked during COVID-19. This thing got resolved fairly quickly when you compare it to the way the NCAA typically operates. Is this the blueprint for how these things get handled going forward, or is this just a one-off where everything lined up correctly and they were able to come to a sort of a mutual agreement on how this punishment should be done?
Well, probably because it's Air Force too, and they don't want something hanging over the academy. I could see that. It was COVID; things were COVID. I don't like reliving the COVID times personally, but you know what I mean. I think hopefully that is something that we can resolve quickly. And obviously, the landscape of college football has changed. People like using the NCAA as a punching bag, but with NIL, and they've given the student athlete everything with NIL and transfer portal and some other things that when you do break the rules, I think that hopefully it will be done quicker, like you said.
Bill Bender, check him out. Sporting News, college football. First time I've had a chance to talk to you. I hope we get to do it again. Thank you, sir.
Hey, anytime. Thanks so much for having me on. Take care.
It's a good conversation. Enjoyed being able to pick his brain a little bit because we really haven't done a ton of college football over the last week or so. We built up to it big in the first week, and then we didn't do too much of it in the second or third week of the show. But we're back on track. Don't worry. I mean, look, it's also matchup determinative. And there haven't been a ton of games to talk about from a matchup standpoint that get you very excited. And obviously tonight we got into a little bit as it relates to Arkansas and Arkansas and Alabama meeting up this weekend. To update you on Thursday night football, it's 17-15 Bengals. Couple of field goals from each team. Bengals playing very protective. They had a fourth down and basically goal from inside the 1 and opted to kick a field goal. And that tells you the confidence right now Zach Taylor has in this offense. You're at home facing a backup quarterback. You're down 15-14. Even if you don't get it, you got Teddy Bridgewater backed up on the 1. And this is Teddy check down. And instead, you decide to kick a field goal? You play to the scoreboard instead of the talent on your roster? Very curious decisions from Zach Taylor in terms of what he decided to do in that moment. And that's not going to instill a lot of confidence in a team that offensively right now could use some. Anyway, Bengals have the football. They are in Miami territory. We'll see what they do on this drive, leading 17-15. Dolphins have had a rough night. Doinked an extra point off the upright a few minutes ago, or a little while. I should say first half. First half, they doinked an extra point off the upright. So they're trying to play catch up in terms of finding those points. As I said, we'll keep you posted. Right now, it's Miami plus 3.5. They are plus 250 on the money line. There is no total at the moment. We'll update those when we come back. On the cash-in, I'm Jason Page. Glad to have you with us. 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. We continue the show on SportsMap and the SportsMap radio app. No, if I do anything, it's daily. I don't do season long. I can't. Once daily fantasy came in for an ADD guy like me who can tune out real easily, it's daily fantasy was made for people like me. Yeah, I mean, if you got a crappy team, it's gone in 3 hours. you know. Oh Jesus. Yeah. Where'd the first hour of the show go? Well, it's over. Sorry you missed it. Boy, man, what a rough day news-wise. I mean, you got the Tua injury, and then I was actually following this story because it's literally about 30 minutes from where I live. But former Cowboys tight end Gavin Escobar, you may remember him. He was the second-round pick in 2013, spent 3 seasons in Dallas, Kansas City, Baltimore, Cleveland. The Dolphins last played in 2018. 8 career touchdowns. Found dead Wednesday in an apparent rock climbing accident near Idlewild, California, which is, again, just a few minutes from where I live. Relatively speaking, it's about a half hour away. Coroner's office identified him. He was found dead with another climber. The 2 people, firefighters found him dead after a climbing accident involving 2 people. Terrible. Apparently, they died at the scene while climbing a rock face. Terrible. Small amount of rain in the area, but officials aren't sure exactly what caused the death. So rest in peace. Gavin Escobar, dead at the age of 31. We are continuing to cover the Tua Tagovailoa injury. We'll get into it a little bit more in the next hour, and there's a reason I'm going to revisit it while we continue to watch this Bengals-Dolphins game. 20-15, because I just watched something that just, again, reiterates or drives home the point about how badly the Dolphins have handled this situation. We'll get into it in the next hour. Cincinnati leads Miami 20-15. They are minus 360 on the money line. We'll keep you up to date on the live betting. 6:13 to go in the fourth quarter. Miami with the football. Lots more to do on this Thursday edition of The Cash In. I'm Jason Page. Glad you're with us. Sports Map Radio and the Sports Map Radio app. Did I go over? How did I do that? I heard you, too. That's weird. I heard you. Timing me out. That was weird. Yeah. Wow, Trevor Noah's leaving The Daily Show? Yeah. 2015. No. I think he may have taken some people by surprise. Yeah. They said, we're grateful to Trevor for our amazing partnership over the past 7 years. With no timetable for his departure, we're working together on next steps. So, there you go. All right, I'm getting Vlad on the line here, so.
Yep.
Yep. Moving the chains. Teddy check down, going to lead them to a win.
Oh, the Dolphins are in some fucking trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're in big trouble.
Yep.
Because that was the number one question going into the game. And when his fingers threw up gang signs, oh my God. This is going to be interesting working tomorrow.
And he went along with it, too.
And all these time people was like, no, that's why I hate. So, I was working locally down, for the flagship for QAM. And then people like, oh, you guys are stupid. These text messages. There's an independent neurologist who's there. And I'm like, yeah. And they can get paid to shut the fuck up, too.
Oh, there it is. Game over.
What, he doing an INT?
Yep.
Oh, you're ahead of me.
Well, they still got 3 timeouts left. 3:05 on the clock.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, then you're 12 seconds ahead of me.
I love those Bengals uniforms, though.
So, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. As a matter of fact, I want them to wear it in a game in Buffalo when it's snowing.
Oh, so bad. It was so bad. Oh, my God. How do
What?
we make this? I don't know
What?
who he's throwing the football to.
Oh, I don't know. Okay.
Jesus.
Oh, he overthrew the.
What'd you say? What'd you say? What'd you say, Brian?
Oh, I want Cincinnati to
Yeah.
wear
What
the
happened?
white
What
uniforms.
happened is Teddy Bridgewater happened. All right.
No,
Stand by.
I just saw it right now.
Hold on. Another hour starts right now. Sports Map Radio all across the country, the Sports Map Radio app. Teddy Bridgewater just got picked off. Yes, he did. And the Bengals have the football with, let's see here, about 2:57 to go in the fourth quarter. Cincinnati leading Miami 20-15. Dolphins were on the move, and Teddy Bridgewater made a throw that I can only describe as a Teddy Bridgewater throw. Actually, no, I would call it a Jimmy Garoppolo throw. It was that kind of bad. It was a Jimmy G kind of throw in a big spot. So we'll keep you up to date on what's going on there. Our executive producer, Vladimir Lewis, is back. He wasn't with us. If you noticed how quiet it was in the first hour of the show.
Yeah, you noticed it wasn't that exciting. It
Yeah,
wasn't riveting.
something like that. So obviously we'll get into the Teddy Bridgewater stuff. We'll see what happens post-game. If there's any updates from Mike McDaniels, obviously we'll be able to pass those along. And there's still time left in this game, so it certainly isn't over by any stretch, although it looks like the Bengals have pushed the ball down the field. First and goal at the Miami 6 is what I got.
Let's get that
here.
over, baby. Let's get that over in the total.
20-15, but wasn't it 43.5?
I believe it was 47.5.
Was it that high? Was it 47
and
a half?
Score a touchdown here, and Miami gets a chance.
Could get that crazy backdoor cover. The only live betting here's what's funny. The only live betting available right now is Miami +3. Oh, here it is. Miami +3,000, and the Bengals -50,000.
Well, if here's the thing though. Hold on, Jason. This game still can go.
Sure. I mean, look. First of all, the way the Bengals have managed the football today on offense, I mean, they could easily just kick a field goal here. So
right, and then they'll be down
8.
8.
Yeah,
one possession.
They'll have a shot. We'll keep you up to date on what's going on. We just have a quick break to take here, and then we'll come back. And I got to revisit this Tua injury in light of something I was just watching online. We'll get to that as we continue. Second hour of the Cash In. I'm Jason Page. Good to have you with us on Sports Map Radio.
So understand this.
What'd you say?
This morning.
I
worked this morning.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You're talking to me?
Yeah. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
No, I worked this morning at QAM. I work for the flagship of Miami. Yeah. So the talk was this Tua was ready. He's like, yeah, Tua was playing. Tua was good. All that stuff. The neurologist and everything. So Tua was playing. And then boom. Now, mind you, he did get thrown very vicious to the turf.
Oh, he did. But
you're concussed already.
You're suffering 2 concussions in 4 days.
Now,
I've seen guys get thrown down worse than that.
But I've never seen the fingers do that though.
Yeah, no. But what I'm saying is, I didn't think it was that bad the way he went down. Bro.
No, I was like, oh, he got thrown like a rag doll. And then when I saw the fingers, I was like, oh.
But like he didn't land directly on his head. You know what I mean?
No,
like
he landed it.
I saw it. I know what you mean, but I didn't think it was.
And maybe it's not his. You know what, Jason? Hold on. Before we start saying it's his head, maybe it is his back. Maybe his back got thrown. Maybe he landed on his back. So maybe
they said head and neck. They didn't say back. They said head and neck.
Yeah, they're fucked.
What'd you say, Brian? Oh yeah. Oh, it was definitely a head injury. Anybody who knows anything about head injuries knows that's the way the body's defense mechanism. Yeah. Yeah, that's a defense mechanism to a head injury.
All right, 3rd and goal. Miami uses their another timeout.
Miami plus 2,500 on the money line.
But that's if only they can hold them to a field goal, then score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Because the line is, 3.5? Another
stop.
Oh, that was a bad handoff.
There's another timeout. Dolphins still have another timeout. Yeah, they're going to get look, if they
have to stop him here.
What I'm saying, if they stop him, they're going to get the football with a lot of time left. A lot of time left. Yeah, dude, Gavin Escobar died like a half hour from my condo.
Touchdown. Game over.
Got it?
Escobar. Yeah, touchdown. 84. Wow. Pass to the tight end. Oh, my God. Yeah, my friend just posted that.
Yeah.
In Palm Springs?
Idlewild, which is like half hour from here.
Wow.
Died climbing a mountain face. Coming back. Well, it's all over but the shouting. Any hope the Dolphins had for a miracle comeback in Cincinnati were just dashed. Bengals get a touchdown, 26-15 extra point pending in Cincinnati. So the Bengals, despite their best efforts, will come out on the winning end of this game. I mean, you got Zach Taylor kicking field goals from the 1, showing no confidence in his offense at all, which is something he's going to have to answer some questions about this week, even in a winning effort. Now, there's still this Bengals team still got a ways to go, but they're 2-2. You know, if you asked Zach Taylor when he was 0-2 if he could be 2-2 after week 4, he'd say, "Okay, I'll sign up for it." Got a little extra time off now and try to work on some things. Bengals are a 2-2 team.
2 wins in 4 days, boys. There's nothing better than that. And then you have
it's true.
It's almost you have an extra bye week because, like you said, you don't play for another 10 days.
Yeah. But the talk of this game will undoubtedly be the injury to Tua Tagovailoa. He went down in the first half. Very scary scene. His fingers locked up in this claw-like formation, and he was stretchered off the field, taken off on a not an ambulance, but one of those carts. Strapped to it. They still left his helmet on. And then we would find out that he suffered head and neck injuries. He had feelings in all of his extremities, which is certainly the best and only good news to come out of this game for the Dolphins, is that he had feeling in his extremities, which, you know, when you see somebody get strapped to a cart, they don't even put a thumbs up as they're going off the field. I mean, there was a lot of reasons to believe it could have been a lot worse than that. But now the focus is definitely going to shift. And look, all you got to do is go to Twitter right now, and you'll see people retweeting and putting the video up, not of the injury tonight, but of the injury he suffered on Sunday, the supposed, and I put in air quotes, back injury that, you know, had Tua not grabbing his back, but shaking and grabbing his head and walking off like a punch-drunk boxer before being held up by one of his teammates. And I went back during one of the breaks, and I was watching that video over and over again on a loop. And the more I watch it, the more infuriated I become about what's happened tonight. Because I don't know what kind of shenanigans took place on Sunday in Miami with Tua going down the way he did and coming back into the game so quickly and being cleared, and a neurologist on the field said he's fine. All of this, and then you see what happened tonight, and you can't help but wonder if that was the result of cumulative head trauma, starting with what took place on Sunday and ending tonight. And look, you know, all we can say is this. If there is some sort of cover-up on what took place Sunday, Tua was in on it. So I don't know when the aggrieved party, in this case Tua, the guy who got carted off the field, is going with the story, hey, it was a back injury. I don't know, you know, where the squeaky wheel's going to come from that suddenly reveals any story other than the one we've been hearing so far, which is, hey, it was a back injury. It locked up on him. Again, nothing I saw in that video tells me a back injury that locked up. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I mean, Vlad, look, if there's any one time to talk to Vlad as the executive producer of the show, he's in Miami and works for the flagship of the Miami Dolphins. Yep. So obviously you've kind of been there all week and you're around the station, so you hear what's going on. What do you have to add?
So after the elation of the Buffalo victory, Dolphins fans were going crazy. Obviously, they were caring about where are they ranked. And, you know, they said, quote unquote, you know, with every concussion, there's an independent neurologist that's there, and cleared them. But Jason, like you said, if you saw the hit on Sunday that he suffered in that Buffalo game, you knew it wasn't a back injury. That man he was concussed. He came back. They won the game. Great. But during the week, it's very hard. If you suffer concussion, it's very hard for them to clear you in 3 days. in 3 days. So there was a lot of speculation that is he going to play today? Is he going to play today? And taking a look at Twitter, you if I mention this name, you'll know who I'm talking about. Chris Nowinski.
I'm literally texting him right now.
Okay. Well, okay.
So you don't have to tell me who he is.
Yeah. So
I know very much who he is. Former WWE wrestler.
Yes. Who after
played football too.
Himself, yes. Decided to help and do more research on the CTEs that's been happening not only in football but also it was happening in wrestling as well. So Nowinski had tweeted out earlier, if Tua takes the field tonight, it's a massive step back from concussion care in the NFL. If he has a second concussion that destroys his seasonal career, everyone involved will be sued and should lose their jobs, coaches included. We all saw it. Even they must know this isn't right. And then now, after what happened to him, this is a disaster. Pray for Tua.
Yep.
Fire the medical staffs and coaches. I predicted this, and I hate that I am right. 2 concussions in 5 days can kill someone. This can end careers. How are we so stupid in 2022?
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. And here's the thing. Can I be
Go ahead.
Can I be incredibly cynical right now? Can I be incredibly cynical?
Be cynical.
You know who's going to care about this? Us in the media, former players, concussion, advocates for player safety. But this, I almost hate to say it, this league has been bulletproof against so many things. If all the lawsuits and everything that this league had to endure, the movie with Will Smith about concussion policy, all of that stuff, why should I believe anything's ever going to change if we had an incident like this tonight? I hate to be so cynical. I hate being that guy that's like, nothing's going to change.
Somebody in Miami's going to have to take the hit for this.
You would think.
Because Goodell's going to look at it and say this was a Miami, this was a team thing.
Here's what I wonder, and I have no idea. This is not my area of expertise. I'd be the first one to admit when I know something. This is not one of those times. If they do a CT scan, I don't think they have any way to tell this, but if they do a CT scan, is there any way for them to tell if there had been a previous injury? Or is that only something they could find post-mortem? Not to sound so morose, but is that only something they could find post-mortem? I don't know. But, I wonder if there's any way for them to know when he goes to a level 1 trauma hospital today, not some cherry-picked doctor by the Dolphins organization, but to a level 1 trauma center. Is there going to be a way for them to figure out, somebody missed something or somebody intentionally missed something? That's what I want to know. I'd love to talk to Chris Nowinski. I literally just reached out to him. I'm just keeping it completely transparent with our audience because I was looking at the tweet that you were about to read before you read it. And I interviewed Chris. I interviewed Chris on Radio Row in Miami in 2009 or 2010, whenever the Super Bowl was there. The Indy Saints.
Miami.
Yeah,
Saints.
the Indy Saints Super Bowl. I interviewed him down on Radio Row there, face to face, and it was a great interview, and it stuck with me. And I've interviewed him a couple times on the phone since, but I don't have a phone number for him. I only have Twitter contact information. So, because I'd love to hear what he has to say. And again, as somebody who's an expert on concussions, I'd love to know if he would have any sort of insight as to, are they going to be able to find history of a previous concussion? I don't know.
They said this is his 3rd concussion in 6 months.
I mean, it just goes, not to get all like, sitcom, not sitcom, but like TV drama, end of the episode sort of thing. But we literally went from talking about a team that's 3-0, a potential Super Bowl contender, the highest of highs with the win over Buffalo last week, to now wondering about the future of the team's star quarterback and not having any idea what the future holds, this whole medical issue now, it's just, it really is amazing that in the blink of an eye, on one play, how the whole narrative around this team, and even just the narrative around the NFL season changes, because this is going to dominate everything for the next 3 days until you get to the games on Sunday, and then it'll fade into the background for a little while until the next shoe in the story, so to speak, drops. But I'm dying to know what kind of explanations we get after the game and what the true medical professionals involved with this are going to wind up saying. If you saw the injury, you want to talk about it, 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You can hit me up on Twitter as well, at The Back Page. Again, on Twitter, you can find me there, at The Back Page. We will monitor the post-game with the final Cincinnati 27, Miami 15. Lots more to do as we continue on this Thursday edition of The Cash In at Sports Map Radio. Oh, look at you. Yeah. Bombarded. Oh, thank you. Yeah, because I had him on years ago. Crash. Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course.
Oh, man.
All right, I just texted him.
Oh, you got his number?
Yeah. Brian had it because Brian used to produce at the local station in Houston.
Oh, and Chris would come on?
Huh?
And Chris would join them?
Well, yeah, Chris had been on with them, yeah. So I just texted him. He tried reaching out to him too, but didn't
Who
have
were you
him.
planning to play at 11:40?
Well, the plan was to put, what's her name? Plan was to I said the same thing, Stuart. I said, yep. And look, none of us, and I appreciate the call, Stuart. None of us are doctors, but Stuart's reaction was exactly what I just said to Vlad during, in the last 15 minutes during one of our breaks. I said to Vlad, that was not, he got thrown down, but it wasn't he was thrown down and landed head first. He was thrown down, landed kind of on his shoulder, and his neck whipped around. That was not indicative of the kind of hit that would leave you with your fingers in the claw-like locked-up position. I'm sorry. Again, I'm not a doctor.
I've never seen that.
I'm not a doctor, but I'll tell you where I have seen it. I have seen it with receivers who get crushed coming over the middle. I have seen it happen with receivers who are concussed coming over the middle. It's not the first time I've ever seen it. It's the first time I've ever seen it with a quarterback in that position, but I've definitely seen it with receivers going over the middle who get just drilled. And again, it's the defense mechanism against head trauma.
Okay, so to answer that question,
yeah.
What happened to Tua is, I think they call it a fencing response.
Yeah, that's what Brian was saying too. Yes. It's called fencing.
The unnatural position of the arms following a concussion. So immediately after moderate forces have been applied to the brainstem, the forearms are flexed or extended for a period lasting up to several seconds after the impact.
How are you letting him get on? Again, I'm not a doctor.
So the question is, who was the independent neurologist that allowed him to go into the game on Sunday afternoon and who cleared him to play tonight? Fine the week 3 game happened, but who cleared him to play tonight?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously it's the issue of who put him back in the game on Sunday, who cleared him on Sunday, like you're saying. Because if he was concussed, then he obviously shouldn't have been allowed to go back into the game. As I said, we'll see what we get during the post game. I'll keep my eye on the podium and see what the Dolphins are saying after the game. Again, I would not expect to get much. I think they're going to keep this pretty tight-lipped tonight. But, first thing tomorrow morning, there's going to be calls coming from New York. Roger Goodell was at the game, by the way, tonight. You want to talk about?
Yes.
Yeah, he was at the game. He was sitting with Chris Collinsworth up in the press box or up in one of the luxury suites, and Al Michaels was like, "Hey, who's that?" It's Chris Collinsworth. Obviously, Collinsworth, a former Cincinnati Bengal, and obviously ties to that area. But I'm very interested to see what you get tomorrow and the day after, because the league's going to have to answer for this. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people around the medical world who are going to look at this. There's going to be people. The problem is you're going to get people trying to the reality is this. You could have all the video you want. There's really only a handful of people that likely know the truth behind what happened to Tua on Sunday and whether it had an impact on tonight. You're going to hear 1,000,001 doctors, 1,000,001 neurologists that are trying to diagnose what transpired on Sunday and what happened tonight and trying to lock the two together. But you have to kind of shut out some of that noise, because the reality is that there's only a handful of people that actually know. And that's where the NFL has to get in deep on this and try and figure out, all right, let's find out who the main players are, and we got to shake them down to get to the heart of what actually took place here. That's the reality. You're going to hear tons of noise between now and whenever, but there's really only a few people that matter in this story. And when one of them is the player that's coming out and telling you it was a back injury, I hate to say that Tua is part of the problem here, but he is kind of part of the problem. As much as I want to sit here and say that coaches and medical personnel and general managers and all these guys have to protect players from themselves, when you have a willing party to this, potential cover-up of a concussion, there's a lot of people to blame. I mean, there's plenty of blame to be spread around, but ultimately it is the head coach's job, it is the training staff's job, it is medical personnel's job to, and again, I mean, doctors take a Hippocratic oath to protect the safety of their patients. I mean, you could be disbarred if you were putting a player in a situation that went against your Hippocratic oath. So there's a lot of let me tell you, man, there's a lot of peeling of this onion to come.
No, and there's gonna be a lot of crying by the Miami Dolphins because let's be real, Roger Goodell laid a good punishment to Stephen Ross for a lot of the shadiness that the Miami Dolphins organization has been doing over the last 3 years.
Yeah,
with the Brian Flores story, the recruiting of Sean Payton while he was in New Orleans, the trying to get Tom Brady to come. So they've been doing a lot of shadiness, a lot of lying, a lot of, back, just bad stuff. Basically, they're doing backwards stuff. Everything's secret. And this right now with the concussion, that man was concussed on Sunday. They lied about it. They had him play. They won. Everybody loved the story. And then 3 days later or 4 days later, he's up, like you said, he was thrown down. It wasn't a rag doll. He was thrown, but the way he was thrown very forcefully, but it should not have led to his fingers unless he was already previously concussed and was playing with the concussion.
There's an old saying in politics. I used to be a communications director for a mayor about 20 years ago. There's an old saying in politics that loose lips sink ships. And somebody's going to talk. Somebody's going to reveal the truth about what happened on Sunday. And that's when this story will take a turn. Is when somebody steps forward and says, "We knew he was hurt." Maybe there's a whistleblower, maybe a player knows. I'm saying that 5 player, that there's really only 5 or 6 people that know what's going on here. The reality is this stuff gets around the locker room. There's got to be somebody that knows. Yeah, there has to be. Got to be.
That's why I believe the whole team was on the field with him. And, obviously you're going to do that because you want your
it's your quarterback. But yeah, there's no question that somebody's going to have to step forward and say something. It's just a question of who it is. All right, we're going to continue. We're going to switch gears, do a little baseball coming up here in a couple of minutes. We'll continue to monitor the press conferences. The Yankees with Christy Ackert from the New York Daily News is next on the Cash In Sports Map Radio. Spit it out, Jason. Yeah, this will actually give me some time to go through the press conference stuff too, so I don't mind doing this. Yo.
Talking to me?
No, I'm talking to Brian. Yeah, I'll take it out. We continue to keep tabs on Thursday Night Football. We'll do that throughout the show. We got your live lines and all that good stuff. And we'll see how we do on the game as it continues to progress. Take some time out. We haven't done a lot of college football, I have to be honest. And I'll blame myself for that. We've been busy with a lot of NFL and obviously the Aaron Judge run chase, but let's just taking that out.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I thought it was baseball.
No, I'm just taking that out. Trying to fix something.
How was Bill?
Continuing with this Thursday edition of the Cash In Sports Map Radio, the Sports Map Radio app.
I'm happy that he.
And obviously, we're monitoring the Thursday night football game, but we have to take some time out and kind of digest a little bit more. We were all pumped up about it last night. The Aaron Judge 61st home run. Where does he go from here? How do the Yankees handle him? The remainder of their schedule. Let's get into all of it with Christy Ackert, who joins us from the New York Daily News. She covers the Yankees for that fine publication. Christy, first of all, try and give me a sense as somebody who was in Toronto last night for what that moment was like, the opportunity to cover history and Judge hitting number 61.
Because I literally was gonna try to. We couldn't get a college football person.
It was kind of funny because every at bat since the Tuesday before, you just sat there and charted pitches and kind of waited and waited and waited. And that was the first at bat I didn't chart every pitch. We had gotten to 33 plate appearances, and I had charted so many. The press box.
Doing with this Thursday edition of the Cash In Sports Map Radio, the Sports Map Radio app. And obviously we're monitoring the Thursday night football game, but we have to take some time out and kind of digest a little bit more. We were all pumped up about it last night. The Aaron Judge 61st home run. Where does he go from here? How do the Yankees handle him, the remainder of their schedule? Let's get into all of it with Christy Ackert, who joins us from the New York Daily News. She covers the Yankees for that fine publication. Christy, first of all, try and give me a sense as somebody who was in Toronto last night for what that moment was like, the opportunity to cover history and Judge hitting number 61.
It was kind of funny because every at bat since the Tuesday before, you just sat there and charted pitches and kind of waited and waited and waited. And that was the first at bat I didn't chart every pitch. We had gotten to 33 plate appearances, and I had charted so many balls. It was like, all right, whatever. And so then as soon as I heard it off the bat, I was like, yeah, I think that one's gone. It went to the left field bullpen, which is the press box in Toronto is in left field.
You're kidding me. Wait a second. The press box in Toronto, you were seated in left field?
Yeah, we've been there for the last 3 years.
I never knew that they did that. I'd never taken in a game at Skydome. I didn't know that they did that.
Oh, they're doing it at a lot of places now.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. So we actually saw the ball kind of sail right by us. And it was funny because almost everybody in the press box immediately stood up. And none of us were cheering. We were all just trying to see where the ball went. And then, not being at Yankee Stadium, there was a lot of reaction. There were a lot of Yankee fans there. And the Toronto fans were excited about it too. But it wasn't like it would be if it had been at home, obviously. Every at bat at home was really weird, really loud, and then as the pitch was thrown, really quiet. But at that point, I couldn't tell you anything else that happened because I had to immediately file a story. So for the next 10 minutes, I was pounding out just as quick as I could what happened, send it in, kind of looked up at the score again to see what was going on, and then had to rewrite a full story on him again. So by the time the game ended, I kind of knew they had won 8-3, but it really didn't matter.
No, it certainly didn't. Christy Ackert giving us some time here on the show tonight. New York Daily News covers the Yankees. And it was funny. The ball actually looked like it hit off the hand of a fan who was sitting in the front row right above that bullpen, who probably was sitting there thinking, oh, my God, my $2.5 million lottery ticket. And it hit off his hand and fell into the bullpen. So obviously the Yankees were able to retrieve it a little later on. It was kind of interesting watching those Yankee Stadium at bats, and I watched every single one of them from out here on the West Coast, because you almost started to get the sense after he hit 60 and the way they pitched him as he was going for 61 that it was going to have to happen on the road. I mean, I don't care how cool and calm this guy is, getting up there with 47,000 people literally rising with every at bat, holding their breath. It's an impossible situation for him. Do you think with 61, 62 comes easier going back home, or is it going to be back to the same old thing with everybody standing up and going into this hushed silence every time before he swings the bat?
I mean, I think it might take him a few at bats there, but I think you can see the relief already. You could see it Tuesday night when they clinched the division. I mean, it was the first time I'd seen him actually really smile in a long time. You would get that kind of really tight smile, kind of almost not forced, but a very, like, a soft laugh. Tuesday night when they clinched, he was smiling, he was laughing, he was joking around. It was the first time I'd seen it in a week. Actually, probably longer than that, because as he started to get closer, you could see he was kind of getting a little tense. Yeah, I think he's more relaxed. He wouldn't admit it. He admitted it a little bit, but it was weird. If you talk to other players, they were just like, it's so strange when it gets quiet. So you know what? I think 2020 probably helped them all a little bit because they did play in quiet stadiums. But I think he will get 62 at some point this weekend if they play.
Oh no, the weather. That's right, Hurricane Ian coming up the coast.
Yeah.
The
so
remnants of it. Yeah. Oh no.
And I think as soon as he gets 62, then they need to rest him.
Well, that's a great question. I'm so glad you brought that up because I'm curious to see what they do because they're going to have a week off in between, and I think that's the big question is how does Aaron Boone handle all this time off that they're going to have between the end of the regular season? They have a bye, obviously, in the opening round. I mean, is a week and a half of rest? I know we like to think it's a good idea, but we've seen teams that, rest their guys and then struggle in the playoffs. I think back to the Rockies, who had that big run, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and then they got destroyed by the Red Sox in the World Series. I don't know. I just has Aaron Boone tipped his hand any on how he plans to handle this? Is it case by case?
Well, I think Judge first and foremost. He needs a day off. I mean, he'll never talk about being banged up or tired, and there's some kind of cold or something going around that clubhouse. He's been through that. He's played 48 straight games and started 48, played 49. He is your most important player, and he's been very healthy this year. He was healthy last year, but you need him healthy for the playoffs. Give him one day off down the stretch here, at least, please. And then I think you're going to see him rest guys a little bit. I covered the Mets in 15 when they swept the Cubs in the CS and then had to wait for the Royals for probably 3 or 4 days. So, and they didn't do that great against the Royals, but I don't know if that was necessarily the rest or the fact that Daniel Murphy, was hot as could be and then wasn't.
Wet the bed.
Yeah. It's horrible. But they're already kind of planning, like down the stretch, they need to see some things. They need to see if our oldest Chapman is trustworthy. They need to see if Zach Britton can pitch. They need to see if DJ LeMahieu can play through whatever it is that is exactly going on with his toe area. So I think you'll see a lot of guys get days off, but you will also see some very deliberate use of players to test them out for the postseason. Once they get through Texas on the 6th, I think you're going to see them get probably a day or two off as a team. Pitchers will come in and throw. They will have, simulated games for them, live batting practices for them. I think you're also going to see they're sending some of their AAA players to Somerset. They're going to keep them there working out and stuff to keep them ready for come up that week and play against the big league team. So I think you're going to see some of that. And, you can never tell. You have to kind of balance that between keeping guys fresh and healthy and sharp. So we'll see how they do. What's
the attitude and the feeling around this clubhouse when it comes to Gerrit Cole and around this team? Because, last night was a microcosm of what you get from Gerrit Cole these days. He's perfect for 5 innings, and then in the 6th inning, it unravels. He has the balk. He gives up the home run. By the way, I didn't catch the post game. Did they explain what happened on that balk? Because watching it at home, it almost looked like something happened with his earpiece or something distracted him, and he stopped mid-pitch. What was the explanation on that?
No, he never got asked because, quite frankly, when you're on the road, you don't have any help. So he came in to talk, and it was like, don't have time to really talk to you. Got to talk about Judge, so please move it along.
All right, fair enough. But it really was. But last night really was a microcosm of what his season has been.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. I've watched him a lot, and the thing that would concern me the most, like I said, I covered the Mets in 2013 through 18. I watched really, really good pitchers. Really good young pitchers come up, and you'd see them make that big step from being a really talented pitcher to being really good, like a Jacob deGrom. You never saw that body language. You never saw them have those mental meltdowns. And I think the balk was really telling, because I think what it was is he was going to throw a pitch, and he was battling with himself in his mind that he didn't want to throw it. And he just kind of, because that's kind of what he's been hemming and hawing about a lot lately, is like, I wasn't convicted in that pitch. So he's second guessing himself, because I'm pretty sure that they're not calling pitches that he doesn't want to throw. Yeah, I would be concerned about him. I honestly, how it's not like he's proven himself in the playoffs either for the Yankees. So, that the home runs are very concerning. I know that, everybody's a power pitcher is going to give up home runs, but I believe 19 out of the 32 he's given up this year have affected the outcomes of the game. So, and not in a good way for the Yankees. So, that's a concern. He would not be my number one going into the playoffs if all things were equal.
Let me get you out on this. We started with Judge, finished with Judge. With this kind of season, and obviously we all know about the contract and him deciding to bet on himself, and it's been a brilliant move as it relates to the regular season. Does this kind of regular season, I can't imagine the type of pressure, and I know he's handled it all so well all year, and maybe this home run chase has actually helped prepare him for the pressure he's going to face, because as big a regular season as he's had, and as much as we'd like to think he's going to get the contract that he should, whether it's from the Yankees or somebody else, hopefully it's from the Yankees, I wonder how much his performance in the postseason will also hinge on what happens with that contract.
It hasn't at all, really. He turned down a contract that would have given him $230 million, including this year.
Amazing.
And he's going to get a lot more. And I think, internally, when you look at it, that would have been less than Gerrit Cole is making, right? And he has a point that he's more important than Gerrit Cole right now. So,
I agree.
He has an argument. And even if people are rolling their eyes at him for turning that down in the spring, he's proven that, he was right. So I don't think it is going to affect him. He's pretty honest when he talks about the playoffs. He hasn't done anything in the playoffs. He's never gotten past the ALCS. He knows that. He's come to grips with it. He talks about it. He's upfront about it. I would be very surprised if he's not prepared to prove himself in the playoffs this year. He's carried this team. I don't think they're a playoff team without him. He knows it. And, he's going to get pitched very carefully, but if Anthony Rizzo's healthy behind him, that's going to be dangerous. Because, I mean, what was it? The other night he had 4 walks.
Mm-hmm.
He scored 2 runs because, he took his walk and they had a dangerous lineup behind him. If they can get the rest of that lineup going, I mean, he'll be fine.
Yeah, he's
and
gonna.
You know what? There'll be a mistake here and there.
Yeah, he's going to see pitches. He's going to see pitches in the postseason, and if past is any precedent as far as this year is concerned, he's going to hit them. Christy Acker, I want to say I enjoyed it. New York Daily News, thank you very much for giving us a few minutes. Hopefully we get to talk as this team gets into the postseason. Thank you.
Sure, thanks. It was fun.
Christy Acker. All right, we'll come back, tell you what we're hearing post-game on the Dolphins and the Bengals. Cincinnati with a 27-15 win. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio.
Ooh, you got to give Ohtani credit, man. He going to make that shit a
What'd you
little
say?
interesting, even though got to give Ohtani credit. If this motherfucker pitches a perfect game, yeesh.
Yeah, it's Brian, it is crazy.
What?
Him being let on the flight.
Oh, yeah, bro. It's whatever, man. Do we have any sound? I mean, I've been trying to look for sound, but then I saw.
Hold on, you're both talking to me at the same time. What? Vlad, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead, Brian. Yep. Wow, Michael David Smith hitting Richard Sherman hard.
Wow, what is Sherman?
As an active player, Richard Sherman was one of the most vocal critics of Thursday Night Football, arguing it was dangerous for players to play with so little time off between games. Now he cashes a paycheck on Thursday Night Football and ignores the issue after Tua's injury. Yeesh. NFLPA has put out a statement.
I mean, wait a minute. Time out. What do you want Richard Sherman to do? You can't be if you can't be shitting on the paycheck that on the people that's signing your
Well,
paycheck.
he's obviously a hypocrite.
Well, why didn't somebody say that from week 1? Why you say that now after Tua's injury? Should have said that the minute week.
Does it change him being a hypocrite whether it's week 1 or week 4?
No, but I'm just saying somebody should have just said it is like, hey, Richard Sherman used to say Thursday Night Football games were bad, and look at him now being the studio analyst.
NFLPA says player health and safety is at the core of the union's mission. Our concern tonight is for Tua. Hope for a full and speedy recovery. Our investigation into the potential protocol violation is ongoing.
He can't listen.
Not a perfect game, but a no for Ohtani going through 7. 9 innings, 1 walk.
Oh, when he give that walk in the 7th?
He must have. Oh, there's her play. Tua was hurt on again. Hang on to the football forever. Oh, just saw the Tua play again. God. Come back. We continue with this Thursday edition of the show. Some interesting reactions post-game. Shannon Sharp tweeting that's a serious injury. Tua shouldn't have been out there with Sunday-Thursday turnaround. Sometimes players need protecting from themselves. The Dolphins failed Tua.
Yeah, he had put something earlier and he had to take it down and repost a different comment. But
why? What did he put earlier that he had to take down?
I don't know. He had said something and he said the reason why I took down the comment from.
Okay.
an hour before was because he didn't have he was lacking
All right.
information on
Michael David Smith of Pro Football Talk fame, managing editor there, says, as an active player, Richard Sherman was one of the most vocal critics of Thursday Night Football, arguing it was dangerous for players to play with so little time off between games. Now he cashes a paycheck on Thursday Night Football and ignores the issue after Tua's injury. NFL Players Association tweeting out, player health and safety is at the core of the union's mission. Our concern tonight is for Tua, and we hope for a full and speedy recovery. Our investigation into the potential protocol violation is ongoing. We're continuing to monitor the post game. We'll see what we hear. Mike McDaniel up at the podium as I look at my TV screen. We'll keep you posted. Another hour of the cash-in right around the corner. Stay with us. It's Sports Map Radio. Hold on. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, that's all you want. That's all you care about. At the end of the day, you know, the human element, like we talked about at halftime. Wow. Listen, this is like Russian propaganda TV right now. Holy shit. Everybody ignoring the real story. Like, it's so bad.
What are you watching?
I mean, every single one of them was like, all that matters is he's okay. Nobody cares about the fact that he shouldn't have been out there to begin with. Tony Gonzalez is the only one who said something somewhat true. Like, this is going to be talked about for a while.
Bro, it's going to be talked about up until kickoff on 1 o'clock on Sunday.
What'd you say?
It's going to be talked about until kickoff 1 o'clock Sunday, man.
Yeah.
Like, the only time it's not going to be talked about is Saturday when it's college football.
Yeah, and the problem is even the mainstream, like, network news media isn't going to be covering it because all they're talking about is the hurricane right now. So it's not going to be this thing's, unless the sports media is all over it, it's not getting covered. That was some pretty bad propaganda I just saw, like really bad. Mike McDaniel looks like the guy that should have gotten shoved into a few lockers when he was a kid.
No, he looks like nerdy Mark Anthony. He looks like the the drug dealer in Bad Boys 2 that was putting all the Molly pills in dead people's coffins.
There's no Mike McDaniel's video, though. Interesting.
Boy, they know, man. The PR's probably like, nah, no talking, man. They're about to light your ass. His name was Frankie Lasagna. Come on, Jason. That's hysterical.
Say injuries are part of the game. It's part of the game. That's the part of the game that sucks. It's fun to compete. It's fun to score touchdowns. And make
Teddy
plays,
talking now.
But it's that one side of the game that really sucks. And it's unfortunate, though.
Here's a question somebody posted. If the NFL really cared about the player safety, they wouldn't be scheduling a game on Thursday night.
Yeah.
So now the question
Here's
is...
Mike McDaniels. I got some audio.
That was an emotional moment. That is not...
Can you talk a little bit about Tua and the situation and what the status?
All right, I got Mike McDaniels. I won't play it here because it's too short a segment. Final hour of a Thursday night / Friday edition of the Cash In. Is Ohtani still got the no-no going? We're keeping tabs. Shohei Ohtani. The night's still young. Shohei Ohtani with a no-hitter going. Top of the 8th, 2 outs. So he's 2 outs. So he's 4 outs away from a no-hitter. Good grief. Unreal, man. Just unreal. He is 4 outs away from no-hitter, 7 2/3, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk for Ohtani tonight. Wow. Just mind-blowing. Oh, and he's got 2 hits and an RBI. Oh, man. Trying to make that late push for MVP. trying to steal it from Aaron Judge at all costs. Unbelievable. There's a lot of reaction coming in on the story revolving around Tua Tagovailoa. He's traveling home with the team, which again has a lot of people going, what? After suffering that concussion that everybody saw tonight on Thursday Night Football. I got to be honest, I watched about 3 minutes of the post game on Prime Video, and it looked like something out of a Russian propaganda station. Like it was that bad. You had everybody saying, "Oh, the only thing that matters is Tua's fine." No, guys, come on. Andrew Whitworth, no, I expect better from him as a guy who used to be. I think he used to be like one of the heads of the NFL Players Association, if I'm not mistaken. Richard Sherman, no. Ryan Fitzpatrick, no. The only guy who said anything remotely true up there was Tony Gonzalez. He said, yeah, this is going to be a story for a few days. I'll echo that thought. We'll hear from Mike McDaniels on the other side, his post-game comments regarding Tua. We'll keep an eye on the Ohtani no-hitter as well. I'm Jason Page. Stay with us. More to do in this hour of the Cash-In on SportsMap Radio. Did I?
You broke too early.
You know there's no such thing as jinxes, right?
Oh, you broke up the no-hitter?
Yeah, apparently I broke up the no-hitter.
Oh, that's good. You're a Yankee fan. You want Judge to win.
Well, the game's in Anaheim. No, it's a hit. It's a hit. I was going to say, if it's in Anaheim, you could have gotten a friendly official score. I want to see what McDaniels said here before I play it.
Yeah, it was a scary moment. He was evaluated for concussion, and he's in the concussion protocol. He was at the hospital. I believe he's about to get discharged. It was that was an emotional moment. That is not part of the deal that anyone signs up for, even though you know it's a possibility in football to have something that you have to get taken off on a stretcher. All of his teammates, myself, we were all very, very concerned. So the best news that we could get is that everything is checked out, that he didn't have anything more serious than a concussion. He'll be flying back with us here on the plane.
Tough to get back into the game after for both coaches and players after a situation like that.
Yeah, no. For me, I think a lot of people struggled. I know me personally. That's, if I didn't have a job to do for the organization and the rest of the players, and I didn't have that obligation in my mind, I would have tapped it. It's not something that is comfortable for anybody, and it was not.
Oh, he just gave up another hit.
A situation that you want for any of your players or
before everybody starts
your
ripping,
team in general.
Barry Jackson, who's a reporter down here in South Florida, says Amazon, after ignoring the Tua last Sunday, NFL Players Association complaint issue at halftime, now leading their postgame show with 10 minutes on it. 2 doctors cleared him last Sunday, whether it was the right call or not. Many people without medical degrees spewing on Twitter.
Hold on, come back. 12 minutes past the hour. SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Good to have you with us on the Cash In. You got a thought? You want to weigh in? 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. On Twitter, you can hit me up at The Back Page. Again, on Twitter, at The Back Page. I said we had Mike McDaniels audio. Here is the head coach of the Dolphins just a short time ago talking about the Tua Tagovailoa concussion and answering some questions. We'll take it from here, Mike.
Yeah, it was a scary moment. He was evaluated for concussion, and he's in the concussion protocol. He was at the hospital. I believe he's about to get discharged. It was that was an emotional moment. That is not part of the deal that anyone signs up for, even though you know it's a possibility in football to have something that you have to get taken off on a stretcher. all of his teammates, myself, we were all very, very concerned. So the best news that we could get is that everything is checked out, that he didn't have anything more serious than a concussion. He'll be flying back with us here on the plane.
Tough to get back into the game after for both coaches and players after a situation like that.
Yeah, no. For me, I think a lot of people struggled. I know me personally. That's, if I didn't have a job to do for the organization and the rest of the players, and I didn't have that I don't know, obligation in my mind, I would have tapped it. It's not something that is comfortable for anybody, and it was not a situation that you want for any of your players or your team in general. It's some scary stuff. I'm just glad that it worked out.
Looking at the game, tough time if you're short yard.
All right, so there you go. That's Mike McDaniels answering a couple of questions after the Dolphins fall to the Bengals 27-15 in Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. That's about all you're going to get out of the Dolphins tonight with regard to Tua and the concussion that he suffered tonight. Not anything really going to be asked as far as what took place on Sunday and how you get to the point that we got to tonight. Vlad, you said you saw something interesting from a Dolphins beat writer?
Yes, Adam Beasley.
Adam Beasley, you said?
I'm sorry. Barry Jackson.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Barry Jackson, who covers South Florida media, all the teams. His Twitter handle is Florida FLA Sports Buzz. He said an independent neurologist cleared him last week. If you think he shouldn't have played, fine. It's okay. It's okay to have an opinion. It's another to insist you know more than doctors who examined him and insist tonight was result of last Sunday. Social media has created so many experts.
Okay, fair enough. But the reality is there's a reason it's called the practice of medicine. They're still practicing. And it's very possible that an independent neurologist, I'll put that in air quotes, because I don't know if Barry Jackson or anybody really knows what's going on. I doubt Barry Jackson was inside a medical room. I doubt he was inside of an exam room of any kind or any internal meetings of the Dolphins. So, with all respect to Barry Jackson, it's easy to snipe at people who are pissed off, and justifiably so, when they watched a guy basically turn into a vegetable on the football field for about 3 minutes. It's easy for Barry to get upset about it and point the finger at, people on Twitter who are talking about it, but something clearly was amiss tonight. Because that was not the type of hit that I've seen wide receivers get blown up on and wind up with their fingers curled up in the fetal position and all locked up. That was not that kind of hit. So, with all due respect to Barry, who covers the team and obviously, has his sources and people he talks to, I don't think it's unfair for people to be questioning. And not for nothing, this isn't a second guess. I mean, you read the Chris Nowinski tweet before. That was before the game. Chris Nowinski was saying there's no way he should be out there.
12, he was saying this
7 hours ago. I think it was 7 hours ago. I think he said there's no way Tua should be out there. So, I mean, it's not as if this was some second guess. There were a lot of people wondering whether or not Tua should have been out there or not. So, I mean, take it for what it is. And look, there's a lot of people unhappy, and frankly, if people weren't unhappy about what happened tonight, I'd be more concerned. I'm glad people are upset because something has to change. If through all these years and all of these injuries and all the concussion lawsuits and all the different things that the NFL tries to boast about in terms of player safety, if we wind up where we did tonight in the NFL's one of their big marquee games of the week, Thursday nights, double-digit millions people watching on Prime Video, Roger Goodell sitting in a luxury suite watching this happen. If that doesn't do something to shake the conscience of this league and wake them up to the reality that while maybe they've made some steps in terms of player safety and trying to limit the number of concussions, there's obviously still a long way to go. And the science behind this is not perfect by any stretch. But like I said, we'll learn more in the coming days. I'm sorry. I won't apologize for being upset. And I don't think anybody should have to apologize for being upset, especially people that were questioning whether or not Tua should be out there. And I'll be the first to say, we've done, 4 shows this week now. I didn't talk about the Tua concussion or the Tua injury on Sunday, which we've been told was not a concussion, that it was, his back locked up or whatever it was. I didn't talk about it. Doesn't mean I can't be mad about it, but we all saw what happened on Sunday, and you hope that it doesn't come down to a situation where 4 days later, the dude's getting carted off the field, and you get this horrifying image of him with his fingers in that claw-like grip, unable to move as a defense mechanism towards whatever head injury he suffered. And people are going to examine the hit. They're going to look at the way he was thrown down and try to figure out whether or not, that was the sole cause of this, whether there was a cumulative effect from what took place on Sunday, whether it's a cumulative effect from previous concussions he's had. I think you said now, he's had 3 in his career, Vlad?
Well, he's had 3 in his career, but this is 2 in 4 days. And
well, potentially. If you believe that he had a concussion on Sunday.
This is he had a concussion on Sunday. I don't care what they're trying to say. They're trying to say he didn't have a concussion. He had a concussion on Sunday. I don't care what anybody says. That man had a concussion. Or put it this way, his body has been wrecked. Okay, twice in the last 100 hours.
Agreed. You're not going to get any argument from me on this.
So what we're going to talk about is player safety. And now we're going to talk about player safety. We're going to talk about, don't you think maybe it's a little too quick to be having a game after?
Absolutely.
After Sunday? Like maybe it'd be better to have Friday night football maybe than Thursday night football?
I don't know.
It's a physical game. It's a violent game.
I know.
And that you need to recover. And like I told you, obviously, these games are played in different places, so the weather is different everywhere. But if you play in South Florida, if you were there at that Buffalo game Sunday afternoon, you saw both teams
could see it
out there.
You didn't have to be there. You could see it.
You could see it. And it was 100 degrees on the field. It was hot. It was nasty. And
Stephon Diggs talked about all the IVs he had to take just to be able to play. And you had to see all the IVs they had to take just to get for them to get ready to go on the bus to get back to the plane. 4 days is not enough. Well, there's certainly going to be.
That's what we're going to start talking about.
Yeah, that will be part of the conversation for a couple of days until games start being played and people inevitably, and again, this is the cynic in me, people inevitably move on. Brian McDonald, our producer in Houston, has officially declared me a jinx. The no-hitter is gone. A jinx and a curse. Thank you, Brian. I get the double.
You get it now.
I get the double.
Brian, you understand what Vlad's been saying for the last 7 years.
I get the double. So a no-hitter, no more for Shohei Ohtani. That's a shame. Angels still lead Oakland 4-0 as they go to the ninth. Ohtani's still in after 8 innings, though. He's thrown 108 pitches. Will they let him go out there to complete the game? Do you let him go out there to get the complete game? I would think you would. Wow, he's pitching to a 2.3 ERA. Jesus, the numbers for Ohtani this year are just insane. 14-8. He's about to go to 15-8. A 2.3 something ERA. Over 200 strikeouts. My God, what a year for Shohei Ohtani. All right, I know he's got 30 plus homers, Brian. He's not the best player in baseball. Stop it.
30 compared to 61? You half the man.
Oh, boy. Here we go. You take him off that team, they're still a 69-win team regardless. He's so valuable that he's got 69 win, that they have 69. Hey, don't worry, though. Tonight they're going to get to 70.
That's cool, man. That's great. Is he leading he's the pitcher. Is he
Listen, he's a fantastic.
He's the best player in baseball. I'm not even gonna lie. He's the best complete player in baseball.
Yes, I won't disagree. He's not the most valuable player, but yes, he's the best player in baseball. And they are two different things. They're definitely two different things. And I mean, and two things could be true. You could say that and say that Aaron Judge is having one of the greatest seasons in the history of baseball, which he is.
The reason why, and it's not like you're saying, listen, if you want to say Shohei is the best player in baseball like I just did, that's fine. But you can't say that Aaron Judge is not one of the best players, if not second or third behind him. So the fact that he's already was a top 5 player and he's having one of the greatest seasons ever, what it's showing me is that baseball is in a great place.
Yeah, I agree.
And it'd be nice if those Angels players, like the Angels, would compete, because then you would get to see Ohtani and Trout. You get to see Judge. You get to see Mookie Betts in the National League in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
you get to see.
I would prefer. I get it. I would just prefer at this point to blow it up and let those guys go somewhere and have a chance to win, because it seems like it's never going to happen with the Angels. I mean, my God, what a mess that organization is, and they don't even have a great farm on top of it. And I'm a farm system guy. I look this stuff up. They don't even have a good farm system. They destroyed Joe Adell, who was, arguably their biggest, brightest prospect. They took him up, put him down, played him here, played him there. They didn't give him any consistent playing time. And you know what? People like to bang on the Yankees for certain things and, talk about how they handle their roster and players and trades and all this stuff. But you know what? Since Jabba Chamberlain, I can't really find a prospect that they screwed up. And I know people will say Miguel Andujar. He got stuck in a numbers game. Joe Adell should be playing for the whole season, and he wasn't. All right, I'm late. I got to go to the break or they're going to yell at me. The phone number is 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. On Twitter, at the back page, continuing to monitor post-game reaction on the Tua Tagovailoa concussion and more. It's the Cash In at Sports Map Radio. God, I haven't broken that late since I was at NBC Sports Radio. Remember the days of breaking at NBC Sports Radio so late that we'd come back and have like 30 seconds left in the next segment?
Jesus.
Those were the good old days. Hi, I'm Jason. It's Up Late with Jason Page. Bye. And that was the segment. That's great.
Hey, ask them, do they know a guy named Tyler Soto?
Hey, Brian, do you know anybody named Tyler Soto? No, he said no.
Okay.
Yeah, he's only been at the station since May.
Okay.
Be cool if we can get on in Dallas, like Craig emailed me today.
Dude, it'll be great. Then if he can, what's the name? Don't have to shit on us every time we try to get him on.
What'd you say?
It would be great. Then Tony won't have to shit on us every time I try to get him on.
It's true.
I tell you, bro, it was easy. You know what's sad? This is what branding is so huge.
Uh-huh.
NBC Sports Radio wasn't as big as everybody thought. That we made it seem like it was big. But the fact that they had those three letters, NBC.
Yep. It's absolutely right.
Come on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And because of the NBC, we were able to get the NBC SNs. Remember, there was NBC SN Philly and all of that. But then all of a sudden now, I still got these contacts and everything. And I'm like trying to remind them and everything. And it's just like.
No, I get it.
And here's the other thing.
It's also
I
the
like
other. The
sports
day
bet.
part is also part of it too, though.
What do you mean, Jason?
We're all trying to get through it together tonight. Did the Angels put Ohtani back up? No, that's it. He's done after 8 innings. They didn't let him finish it. Yeah, he was going to go out there and blow out his shoulder. Aaron Loop is on to finish it out for the Angels, who lead the A's 4-0, and now nobody cares about that game because it's two teams that have a combined 125 wins on the season. And that's not good for those of you at home wondering. By the way, we were talking about Seattle, and Vlad and I were talking about it during one of the breaks, which if you ever want to see the show and what we talk about during the breaks, you have to watch us. We're on YouTube, the Decibel 88 channel. That's Decibel 88 channel on YouTube. There's a whole nother show that goes on during the breaks. You could also watch it on my Facebook page, The Jason Page, if you're looking for me on Facebook. The Decibel 88 Facebook page. We're on Twitch, Jason Page 77. On our Twitter feed, at the back page. There's so many ways to stay in touch with the show. We were talking about Seattle falling apart before, and I was saying, they're up 7-5 on Texas in the 8th. Well, it's 7-7 in the 9th. They weren't able to hang on to the lead. So it's been a rough go of it for the Mariners since Julio Rodriguez went down with an injury. But in all likelihood, they're still going to wind up in the postseason, because as you look at the standings, and every night we go through the various standings. Wild card in the American League right now, it is Seattle at 84 and 70, and Tampa at 85 and 71. The Blue Jays clinched a wild card berth tonight with their win and a Baltimore loss. I mean, Baltimore's pretty much dead. They're 5 back of Tampa Bay, and even if the Mariners lost, they'll still be 5 up on the Orioles. So, barring something incredibly unforeseen, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Toronto will be your 3 wild card teams, and Toronto's got a shot to wind up being the wild card that winds up playing the Indians. Oh, man, if you're the Indians, you want no part of Toronto. Is that a 3-game series? That best of 3?
That'll be a 3-game series in Cleveland.
Oh, God. They want no part of Toronto in a 3-game
not?
series. I mean, listen, Toronto's a really good team. And Cleveland's had a nice year, and a lot of people think Terry
Cleveland's always been a good
Francona.
team.
They basically have the same number of wins as Toronto has.
So, yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
put it this way. The Blue Jays have scored 60 more runs this year than Cleveland has. Now, they've given up 60 more runs. Don't get me wrong.
Then I like the Indians. I mean, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Pardon me. I like the Guardians.
Oh yeah, we said Indians. Sorry, Cleveland Guardians.
I said it.
No, I think I said it too. I'll take the fall with you.
I know I said it. So I apologize on that. I think the Guardians have a good pitching staff, and I think they could win. I mean, 3 games. Toronto would have to win 2 games in Cleveland.
I wouldn't bet. I'll put it this way. I wouldn't bet on Cleveland. I wouldn't bet on them
right now. Toronto, Seattle, Texas, and Seattle. By the way, top of the ninth.
What, 7-7 still?
Yeah, 7-7. Top of the ninth. I thought you had mentioned this. I thought you said it was 7-6. But
No, I said
now it's-
7-7. I said
Okay,
7-7.
yeah, it's tied.
Postseason.
Yeah, I like the Guardians' chances in this. Plus, I want to play the Guardians. That's why.
Well,
'Cause
because
the
the
winner of
Yankees
the-
own that team.
Right, because the winner of the Cleveland-Toronto series will probably play each other. We'll probably play the Yankees.
3 games in Cleveland that would begin on October 7th. All 3 games on ESPN, by the way. Hey, maybe fans will actually show up for the Guardians in the postseason, because God knows they don't show up during the regular season. Just awful. Awful fan base. Really. I mean, serious. I mean, it's so bad. That fan base is awful. They should be ashamed of themselves. But Cleveland, I mean, that team could win 90 games this year. I don't know what they were projected to do preseason. I'd have to go look at what the numbers were. But I don't know how many people would have had Cleveland winning 90 games this year. I can't imagine. They had to have hit the over on whatever their total was in Vegas. If you took Cleveland at over, they had to wind up over whatever the total was. I'm sure the Yankees have at 96 and 59. Matter of fact, probably all the division winners have. I mean, if you think about it, I bet you every division winner.
No, I don't know.
St. Louis at 90?
You think the Guardians?
Oh, yes. If Cleveland's at 88 now, they couldn't have been much higher than that. I think the Yankees were only at like 90. I think the Yankees were like 89 and a half or 90. I forget what it was, but it wasn't that high. There's no way Cleveland could have been higher. I don't think so, anyway. I'll have to look. Preseason MLB win totals. Predictions. Let's see. MLB over odds winners.
Whatever it was, it's one of the. I could say one of
There it
those,
is. So here it was. Cleveland was 81 and a half.
Oh well, damn. They didn't believe in the AL
Oh
Central.
no, this was the updated. This was actually updated in August, and they still wound up blowing out that number. They still wound up going way over that number. Here's the one for the preseason. Yeah, the one for the preseason. Cleveland preseason was... I'll have to find it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's great radio. We'll come back. Much more to do on the cash in. We're all about the odds. Stay with us. Sports Map Radio, the Sports Map Radio app. Lots more to do. Damn it. It was... What the hell were the preseason projection?
All right, I got Sportsbook Wire, USA Today.
Who?
Sportsbook
Oh,
Wire.
Sportsbook.
USA. Below we look at the
Yeah, I got Odd Shark too. Yeah, Cleveland was 80.
over under was 76 and a half,
70.
bro.
No, yeah, it was 75. Mine was 75 and a half. My God.
Because they won 80 games last year.
Yeah.
With a below average lineup, mediocre to subpar.
75 and a half.
bullpen.
Yankees were 91 and a half. So every
Dodgers
division winner,
definitely-
went over.
Dodgers
Cardinals were
definitely.
84 and a half.
What about the Braves or the Mets? I guess that's the only series
Atlanta was 91 and a half.
they passed that.
They're way
Mets.
over. Mets were 88 and a half. Everybody went over. Everybody went
What about
way
the
over.
Padres? What about,
Toronto, hold on. Toronto was 92 and a half, so they're close. What were you going to say? Padres?
Yeah.
88 and a half.
Wow, they hit it.
Have they? Are they there already? What's their record?
I mean, I think like 88 and...
No, they're 86 and 69.
Yeah, what was it? 87 and a half, you said? Or 88 and a half?
It's 88 and a half.
So, and they got, what, 86?
San
So they got to
Diego,
win 3
88
games.
and a half.
They got to win 3 games.
So it's close. It's close. A's were 67 and a half. Did the A's actually get there?
No.
Let's see. What is Oakland at? 56. Angels, wow. Angels are at 69. They were projected at
They had to be like
83 and a
70.
half.
Oh, man.
Jesus. Brewers. Brewers. No,
What about
can't hit the
Phillies?
Brewers. Brewers were 90 and a half. What?
What about the Phillies? Phillies shit the bed.
Phillies are 83 and 72. Phillies were projected 86 and a half, so you're still sweating that if you got them.
And they would have gotten it if they have a horrible September.
Yeah.
You can't lose to the Cubs, man.
Giants were 85 and a half.
They might hit it. Did they?
No, Giants
No.
are going under 77.
What was
The
the Red
Rockies,
Sox?
wow, Rockies are at 65.
What was the Red Sox?
And they were 68 and a half. Rockies bet could still hit. Red Sox are 85 and a half. We're
They're
coming
not gonna
back.
No. They would have to win 6 in a row. Just
No,
to be
not
500.
even close. Just having some fun looking at the over and under totals preseason, who hit the number, who came up short. As I said in the last segment, and I was right, every division winner went over. Every single one went over. And there's a few sweat bets still out there. Toronto was 92 and a half. So are they officially done? Toronto 92 and a half. They're 87 and 69. Now they could still get there.
They would have to win all 6 games.
Yeah, that would be it. They'd have to win out. Yankees went over. They were 91 and a half. I believe the Orioles definitely went over. And Baltimore was projected at 62 and a half. They're going to wind up 20 over that number. I say it all the time, man. Vegas don't always get these lines right. If you were dumb enough to bet Colorado at 68 and a half and take the over, you're sweating it out, baby. It's going to be a fun final 7 games for you. They're at 65 right now. Colorado Rockies, baby. We're going to sweat it out with you every night on this show. They need 4 more wins to get to the over, 68 and a half. The Mariners actually were projected at 84 and a half. So you know what? They aren't. I thought they were actually well ahead of what their number would be, but they're actually right on it right now. I mean, they're going to go over, but not by a lot. And it turns out that's going to be enough to get one of the 3 wild card spots. Interesting. Very interesting. I was reading on the Twitter. A lot of people still reacting tonight to what's going on in this Tua injury, and a lot of different players around the league. A lot of people sort of going into it, but I'm just literally scrolling through Twitter to see if any new notes have come out about this thing. Mike Golick Jr. saying, how did the NFL and NFLPA not expedite this investigation? How can that be allowed to take a week or 2 while a player is possibly in a compromised position? It's a valid point as well. Our buddy Ray Ratto. Nonsense. This is what dinosaurs do. They'll never figure it out. Talking about the league. That sounds like something he would say. That sounds like something that our buddy would say. But a lot of people reacting. It's going to certainly be the story. It'll certainly be the story of the next few days around the sports world until we get to the games on Sunday. And we'll just have to wait and see what what's reported and
Guaranteed now.
what?
Cleveland is not letting Myles Garrett play on Sunday.
That's an interesting question.
Bro, after what you saw with Tua, okay, what is the comparison they talk when we talk about the NFL? What do they equate it to?
A car wreck. I know where you're going with this.
So what just happened to Myles Garrett
He
on
was
Monday?
literally in a car wreck. By the way, there's an update on that story too.
Right, and he was going faster than he should have.
Thank you for scooping me on my own show. I appreciate that.
That was good. Oh, yeah.
Not like
That's
I,
why
not like
brought
I
it
wanted to, not like I had that written down to share with the audience tonight. But thank you. Ohio State Highway Patrol issuing a citation to Myles Garrett, saying he drove at unsafe speed before crash. He was doing 65. Here's the problem with cars today. Back in the old days, nobody knew how fast you were going. Now these things have so many computers in them. If you get into an accident, the first thing they do is just dial that bad boy up. And, oh, okay, that's what you were doing. It's like Tiger. They basically recreated the entire accident based on a computer inside his SUV. It wasn't even his. 65 and a 45, which, let's be honest, we've probably all done once or twice.
Not in a Porsche though.
I mean, 65 is 65 no matter what car you do it in.
Yeah, but when you're 6'5" and you're driving a little small ass car and you hit a ditch,
Can you imagine? But I don't think it was the small Porsche. If you looked at, I think it was like the larger, like the 4-door. That's what it was. It wasn't the little. It wasn't a Boxster. It would have been like something out of Mr. Bean if he was getting out of a Boxster. Yeah.
He's still 6'5".
Oh, I get it. But it was definitely it was the, I think, the Macan or something like that, whatever it's called. So he was doing 65 and a 45 according to the reports. Left shoulder sprain, right bicep strain, still what continues to be reported, and he did not practice on Thursday. Kevin Stefanski still has not ruled him out. We'll see if tonight changes that. But again, I mean, I even just go back to the Justin Herbert story. And granted, it wasn't a head injury. But you still look at the way these teams, choose to handle these players, especially star players in the league. And apparently with little oversight. If a team wants to put a guy in harm's way and he's all right with doing it, league's not going to say anything about it, even though it's not good for the league now that Tua and basically the Dolphins season, I hate to say it with all due respect to Teddy Bridgewater, the season could be at risk if you lose Tua for an extended period because of this injury.
Now, do you think the NFL
Yes.
is going to force the Dolphins to make a thorough evaluation on Tua? Because it's crazy that, to me,
I don't know.
Like I said, we're not doctors, and everybody's trying to play one, but to get hit like that, and it was said to be a concussion tonight's game, right?
Yes. It's officially.
How do you
a concussion.
fly in that altitude? I mean, in that pressure, the air pressure. How do you fly back? How?
That's what I mean. I'm shocked that they wouldn't just keep him overnight for observation.
And I know another thing about concussions. They don't want you to fall asleep. Right?
Yeah.
So what do you do when you're on a flight?
You're going to fall asleep. Whatever you do, don't go
Fall
to
asleep.
sleep.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out here.
It's a little Nightmare on Elm Street, by the way.
Yeah, tough times in Miami, man.
Well, you're going to be right in the belly of the beast. I'm anxious to see.
Man, I can't wait. In another 4 hours, I'm going to be all up in it.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting day. Oh, are you actually there tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'm not going to be there. All right, let me rephrase that. I'm not going to be there in 4 hours. I'm doing Dolphin Rewind, so where we talk about the game.
Oh, Jesus.
Woo! Dolphin Rewind because you got to figure what McDaniel was definitely going to talk to the press on Friday afternoon.
Well, somebody's going to be talking to the press on Friday afternoon because the way this whole thing.
And you know who's supposed to come back late, very soon, right?
Who?
Stephen Ross.
Oh, it's true. Well, at least he could say it ain't my fault. I had nothing to do with it.
He's been saying that a lot.
Yeah. At least he could say it isn't his fault. Like I said, this will be the story of the next few days around the NFL for sure. With, we'll just have to wait and see. Bill Belichick, by the way, we mocked him on the show last night. We played his his most recent kind of comical comments yesterday when he basically was asked a million different ways to talk about the injury to Mac Jones and whether or not Mac Jones would be able to play. And, well, this is what he said. He didn't want to play doctor on TV.
Day by day, it's getting better. See how it goes. Day by day.
Does he have a high ankle sprain?
Day by day. What do I look like? A doctor? An orthopedic surgeon? I don't know. Talk to the medical experts.
What do the medical experts on staff say?
Day by day. We'll evaluate him. Day. I mean, what difference does it make to me? What do you think I'm going to read the MRI? That's not my job. So.
But it's theirs, and they talk to you about it, right?
Yeah, it's day by day. It's getting better day by day. We'll see. See how it is tomorrow. It's a lot better than it was yesterday. See what it is.
And apparently, I don't think he's actually playing with anybody because as much as we like to kill Bill, pun not intended, there's a chance Mac Jones might play this weekend, which, considering the way he came off the field on Sunday afternoon, didn't seem like it was possible at all. But Bill Belichick is, maybe this time he's actually telling the truth. Or, and here's the other question, though. But here's the other question. If you're going to play Mac Jones at well less than 100%, I mean, there's no question, even if he's playing on Sunday, he's well less than 100%. They have zero faith in Brian Hoyer. That means they have, which, by the way, if that's the case, why have him as your backup quarterback?
Because he knows the system.
But who cares if he knows the system? If this is the time, I mean, this is what you have these guys for. Why do you have a Teddy Bridgewater for instances like tonight? Why do you have we can go around the league at different guys, Chase Daniels, Geno Smith last year with the Seahawks and Russell Wilson couldn't play. If you're not going to play these guys, why have them? This is the time to play him.
Listen. When you're the franchise quarterback, when you're QB number one, and if you have a chance to play, any chance to play, you're going to play that man. That's why he's the starter. As good as a backup you can have. You could have Joe Flacco. You could have, like you said, Chase Daniel. You could have all of them. There's a reason why they're a backup.
I still want that. I still want. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
No, I mean, put it this way. I guess the coaches they rather a half-healthy starting quarterback.
75. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's 70%. Yeah, 75%.
They rather a three-quarter
Mac Jones.
Three-quarter Mac Jones than a 100% Brian Hoyer.
These are all calculated risks, though. They really are. You put him out there and he re-injures it. I mean, now your season's basically up in smoke.
Right, and then if he somehow leads a win in Lambeau, the legend of Mac Jones continue.
I'll tell you something. I'd put the house on them not winning on Sunday against the Packers. Oh, there it is, Brian, what is that? Is that the Jason Jinx? Is that the double J? The Jason Jinx? Guess so. Apparently, that's what we're calling it. They're not winning that game with or without Mac Jones. The cash-in curse. I like that. That's actually pretty well done, Brian. Brian bringing his A game tonight.
You're sick. The cash-in curse. That's good. It's called sick.
Yeah. The cash-in curse. What's the current line on that game? Let me see.
I think it's 9.5 Packers.
That's right, because I was talking about it last night on the show, and I said I'm not a fan of big spreads, and that's obviously the biggest one of the week. I would take the Packers minus 9.5. I would actually do it. I have zero faith in the Patriots in that spot in Lambeau on Sunday afternoon. Be thoroughly surprised if they scored 14 points in that game. I would be surprised. Very surprised. Chiefs and Buccaneers, by the way. There are so many games this week, and you weren't on last night when I did this. There are so many lines that are 3 or less this week. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of good games.
There's a lot of really tough games. It's not an easy week for Page's picks, I have to say. I'm looking more at totals than I am spreads.
Join the Flag Club.
I'll stay in mine, thanks. I appreciate it.
You could join the Flag Club.
No, I'm good.
Totals.
Yeah. But I do have to say, I am starting to lean more in the direction of picking totals. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this edition of The Cash In. I'm Jason Page. It's Sports Map Radio. The cashing curse. I like that.
You kick.
Yeah, we need some merch.
Of course. The cashing curse will leave you sick. CIC.
Yeah. Merchandising. Spaceballs, baby. Spaceballs, the flamethrower. The kids love it. Mel Brooks is still alive. Hey, Google, how old is Mel Brooks?
96 years old.
96. Yeah, that's some good living, man. Laughter, man. That's why.
Is that Albert Brooks' father?
I don't know if Mel Brooks is Albert Brooks' father. It's a good question.
I know he has a famous son.
I never actually put that together. Albert Brooks, son of Mel Brooks.
Let me tell you this. Sami Zayn is one of the funniest performers in wrestling.
I agree. No, it's not Mel Brooks.
Okay.
What were you saying, Brian? Agreeing with Vlad on Sami Zayn being a great heel? Yeah. Yeah.
Like, dude, he makes I don't think Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns just laughs every time he sees Sami. Like, it's not even like fake. It's just like even Brock when he's with those guys, when he's with the main guys, he's hysterical.
What do you think? Somebody from Miami tomorrow or what? I'll see if I can get Nowinski. I want to work on that.
If you get Nowinski, then we don't need nobody in Miami. But if I try to get Adam Beasley, but they're all writing right now, so we can get Perk.
Well, let me see. Let me see what Nowinski. Let me see what Nowinski
I'm
does.
saying try Nowinski. If he doesn't say anything, we can get Perk because Perk was at the game.
Because I'll tape with if I can get Nowinski at any point tomorrow, I'll tape.
I'll get Joe Rose, the play-by color commentator of the Dolphins.
Yeah. All right, stand by.
All right.
Well, 2 nights in a row, we had stories basically break right on our doorstep. Last night, it was Aaron Judge hitting home run number 61. Tonight, it was the Tua Tagovailoa concussion suffered during the Thursday night football game. So, well, who knows what we'll have tomorrow? You'll just have to tune in. We'll have to see what happens. Like I said, I'm not going to lie to you. The first hour tonight, I was a zombie trying to do the show because what I saw really bothered me. But now the story flips to the story, and it is the proverbial, what we call evergreen in the broadcast business. I mean, there's just going to be a million branches coming off this story for the next several days and possibly weeks as we wait to see how long Tua is going to be out of action. Who do the
Jets? They play the Jets in week 5.
Well, no, I wasn't going to say who do they play, but I was going to ask who do they bring in to back up Teddy Bridgewater too.
Oh, they have their backup.
Do you know who he is? We're out of time.
Skylar Thompson.
That's the cliffhanger for tomorrow.
Skylar Thompson.
All right, Skylar Thompson. Maybe he's the long lost cousin of Clay Thompson and Chase Thompson. We'll come back tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. For executive producer Vlad, producer Brian, I'm Jason Page. Thanks for tuning into the Cash In on Sports Map Radio. Bye. Yeah, that was interesting, to say the least.
You know what's funny about Skylar Thompson?
Hold on 1 second, Bri. Hold on, Vlad. What were you saying, Bri? Okay. You got what we need for the podcast, right? All right, cool. No worries. All right, thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
So you ready to hear about...
Oh, shit. I just hung up on the wrong person. Oh, that was great. I went to hang up on you, Brian, and I hung up on Vlad. That was pretty funny. See you later. I went to go hang up on Brian, and I hung up on you.
You're horrible.
It's my middle name.
Skylar Thompson was actually active for tonight's game.
Why, does he play another position?
No, he's the quarterback. He's quarterback number 3. No team goes in with 3 quarterbacks.
That's what I was going to say. Nobody ever has 3 quarterbacks.
No, but they activated him. He was in the practice squad, and they activated him for tonight's game.
Huh. Isn't that interesting?
Very interesting. You're not activating somebody unless you knew that somebody, your quarterback or somebody is hurt.
Well, he was listed with other injuries, though, so they could always say that was the reason they did that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that's their if they want an escape hatch, that's what they could say on that. It's going to be interesting. Tomorrow's going to be fun. Not for the Dolphins organization, but it's going to be fun. All right, I'll let you know if I hear anything back from Nowinski. Nothing
I'm going to
yet.
get either Eisenberg or Pizzola for fantasy or gambling.
Okay.
If I can't get one of those guys.
Yeah, we should do a fantasy spot. Eisenberg would be good.
No, I definitely think that. But the other guess is either Nowinski or a Miami guy, or you want a national football person. That way you can just talk about the whole incident.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a good national guy. I'm
gonna try to go Lindsey Jones, a national person. We can't say guy because there's some great female reporters as well. Yeah. We'll get a national person.
Okay.
If we can't get local. So
let me know. Let me know if you hear anything throughout the day tomorrow. Shoot me a text.
All right.
I'll see you later. Bye.
Later. Bye.
All right. For those of you on the stream, thanks for tuning in. Oh, my God. We'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great night. Thanks for watching the Cash In.